Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All right. John Shannon is coming up at around 11 o'clock. In the meantime, our first guest today from TSN, he's down in Tampa Bay for Game 1 of the NFL season, the Buccaneers versus the Cowboys. Now I'm doing Howard Cosell.
Yeah, you are.
It's Farhan Lalji in Florida. How are you, sir?
I'm good. You know, they didn't have Thursday Night Football when Howard did games back in the day when you and I were watching.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
What are your thoughts on Thursday Night Football? I know the ratings have gone up. They've dipped a bit through the years. What are your thoughts on the whole Thursday Night Football project?
Well, look, it's another day to have a national game, and while the ratings maybe don't necessarily compare with Sunday night or Monday night, they still are very favorable compared to other broadcast options on that night. So, I mean, the league's just got to decide if they want to put more profile games on that night, right? So certainly this is technically, even though it's on a Thursday night, it's not part of the Thursday night package. It's actually part of the Sunday night package in terms of the broadcasters and what it looks like. But, you know, when you can get a jump start on the first Sunday of the NFL season with an early game like this and celebrate a Super Bowl, it's a pretty good deal.
Farhan, I've seen you talk about this before, but the Bucs are returning 22 starters, and they have Tom Brady. Can they repeat as Super Bowl champs?
Yeah, they can. I mean, look, I don't know how you can say that they're not the conversation, because when you looked at how they played last year in the playoffs and really in the last 4 games of the year to get to the playoffs, and they were playing must win, you know, they were able to get everything figured out, find some cohesion, and play the game at a pretty high level. And then when you've got everybody back, including some other young rookies that are going to help push for some spots, I think it puts you in a good place. And, you know, you look at last year, Donnie, you know, I remember Tom Brady talking about coming out of the bye week. He was still learning how to call plays, right? And that says a lot, right? I mean, you wind up not being comfortable early on in the season. I think after week 3 it was Bruce Arians and Brady. They weren't necessarily getting along. Arians kind of called out Brady a little bit for his performance at the time. I don't expect any of that to happen now. You look at these guys in the preseason and take what you want from preseason, but you know, the last game, they played 2 series. He completed 10 straight passes, 11 of 14, 154 yards and 2 touchdowns on 2 series. So, you know, any of that rush they had early last year is going to be gone this year.
In case you're wondering, Farhan is coming to you courtesy his iPhone. Do you have, Farhan, we mentioned the Buccaneers, the Bills are there as well, the Chiefs. Do you have a Super Bowl favorite? I know it's early.
Well, I'm picking Kansas City to go back there, and I'm picking the Rams to come out of the NFC. So I'm not picking the Bucs, although I do think they're going to be right there. But when you look at what the Rams have done, look, they've got an elite defense to begin with Donald and Ramsey, but then, you know, there's other players on that defense that are very solid as well, that are good support pieces. But then offensively, to add a guy like Matthew Stafford, and to have that superstar quarterback that can play the game that Sean McVay wants it played, just hang in there 1 extra half second longer to make that play, be on the move a lot and get outside the pocket, you know, all things that Goff was able to do to get him to the Super Bowl. But as we saw the last couple of years, he just wasn't comfortable in the next evolution of that offense. So getting Stafford there, they've bolstered the running game with the addition of Sony Michel. I think they've got some really underrated receivers with guys like Woods and Kupp, and now they've added Deshaun Jackson. I think it's a really, really complete team now, and I think Seahawks fans won't like hearing this because obviously they're in the same division as Seattle, but I think this is the Rams' time to get back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, Farhan, you mentioned it there, Seahawks in the same division of the Rams, so what do you expect from Russell Wilson and company?
Well, I'm curious to see what they're going to look like early in the season because they've got a new offensive coordinator in Shane Waldron, and we haven't seen all of that with Russell Wilson in the preseason. Now, again, you can overplay the importance of preseason. I'm not sure. Coaches have different views on it, but I would have liked to have seen a couple of series. And I know that the Seahawks didn't want to take that chance because of just how banged up that offensive line was for the preseason and Dwayne Brown not playing and things like that. So I get it, but I want to know what it looks like because I think they're going to require Russell to throw underneath a lot more, not check downs, but in that medium 8 to 15 yard range. And you know, the thing with Russell is not that he can't make those throws. Does he want to make those throws? I just think Russell has so much in him where He wants to let Russ cook. He wants to build his legacy. He wants to take deep shots. Heck, he wants to get an MVP vote, right? Mm-hmm. So I think because of that, he's got to want to pull the trigger on those medium-length passes and not always want to put the ball deep downfield to DK Metcalf. So, look, I think that I don't know that they're substantially better than they were a year ago, but I don't think they're worse either. This is a playoff team. I'm not convinced it's a Super Bowl contending team unless Russell Wilson essentially can play at an MVP level for 17 games. Not half a season, which he's done before, 17 games.
Farhan, will you be back for the Lions-Ottawa game Saturday?
I will. In fact, I'm doing play-by-play for the game on TSN, so I'll be back tomorrow.
Outstanding.
Oh, wow, outstanding. So we'll look forward to that. Okay, what about the Lions right now, 2-2? Is Mike Reilly, this is 2 straight games where he's passed for over 300 yards. Is he starting to get in the groove?
Yeah, he is slowly, but I think that offensive line and some of the injuries they've had are preventing him from getting completely comfortable, right? They looked a little better against Ottawa before the bye week, and then we'll see if they get Joel Figueroa back this week. Mm-hmm. I know he's got to get through practice today, and if he does, then there's a chance he plays. If not, David Neville's going to start at left tackle. So I think Mike's getting closer. I think he's getting healthier each week, and I think he's getting more comfortable with some of the other receivers, guys like Lucky Whitehead, and I think Javon Katoy is expected to start this week in place of Dominic Rhymes. And then they've got Keon Hatcher, who is a guy with a bit of NFL mileage, really impressed them in training camp. There's a good chance he plays this week, depending on what happens with Lamar Durant. So every time you have those changes at receiver, it does take some time to get comfortable. But I think this is the best version of Mike Reilly as a Lions quarterback that we've seen so far.
Hey, Farhan, Canadian linebacker Jordan Williams, 8 tackles last week against Ottawa. This is what you want from a first overall pick, is being a difference maker.
Yeah, I talked to Rick Campbell about Jordan last night, and he says, look, this guy's going to be a starting linebacker in this league for a long, long time. And regardless of his nationality, that would probably be the case. He's so fast. He can get sideline to sideline, which is so important in this league. And he's so quick that he can get off blocks really fast. So if you're an offensive lineman and you get to the second level and you try to get onto him and stick to him, he'll just run around you and get back into the play. Whereas usually if a guy runs around a lineman, he's taking himself out of the play, but he can do it so quickly, he can get right back behind that lineman and be where he needs to be before the running back or ball carrier gets there. So, yeah, you're right, Rick. This guy's a special player. I think he's going to wind up being an all-star in this league and is going to bolster the middle of this defense for a while.
And Farhan, before we let you go, we had Amar Doman on the show yesterday, the Lions' new owner. What are your early impressions of him?
Well, I love it, right? I think that, as I said, when he first got the team and took it over, that the Lions needed this more than anything, right? I mean, and all due respect to David Reilly, but they needed a local guy. They needed a guy that was going to invest in the marketing and the digital space and in the infrastructure that maybe Mr. Reilly, prior to his passing, wasn't as comfortable with. And certainly we all know what great things he did to keep this franchise afloat. But, they needed that energy. They needed that local connection. And, I think he checks all the boxes. But as important as this is to the BC Lions franchise, I just think his arrival is so good for the entire Canadian Football League because it signals the type of ownership this league and its franchises are worthy of. Somebody that has dollars, somebody that has motivation and a willingness to do it. And just the entire way that the sale was transacted, it happened so quickly and professionally, and you compare that to maybe the 2 years it took to essentially get the Montreal Alouettes turned over. You hope, as other teams are looking for new owners, that the Lions model with Amar Doman is what those other teams wind up following. I think it's great for the league and great for the franchise.
And we should point out to people, Farhan is in Tampa Bay. Yeah. What a Husky fan he is. Even though we have Husky Stadium in the background. Hey, Farhan, best of luck down there in Tampa Bay, and best of luck on Saturday. It's outstanding you're doing that play-by-play job on TSN.
Thanks, guys. I want a Donnie and Dolly background as well. So the next time we come on, can Hendo send me one of those so I can put that behind me?
We'll start with a hat, and we'll go from there. We'll get you a hat.
We'll get you an 8x10. 8x10.
Thanks, Farhan. Appreciate it.